Hey gang, sorry it's been a little while since my last video, but on the plus side, I'm thinking about bringing back the stash. Today's video is a really simple one. You could crank it out in an afternoon, or if you're a morning person, you could probably get it done by lunchtime. But before we get started, there's a bit of a backstory to this one. You see, I decided to give up my gym membership for trick-or-treating season, but I didn't want to quit exercising altogether, so I needed to make a pull-up bar. Truth be told, the pull-up bar probably cost less than $50 to make, but don't write me off as clickbait just yet. You see, partway into the video, there was a bit of a mishap that actually makes the thumbnail very accurate. Okay, let's get started. Everything's going to be made out of 2x4s, so I'm going to cut them to length, and then I'm going to go ahead and run them through my planer to give them some nice square edges. The nice thing about this project is that it can be made almost entirely out of scrap wood if you have spare 2x4s laying around. And right about here is where my camera blew over, and that's why this is called the $1,000 pull-up bar. But of course, the show must go on, so I kept right on working and filming everything along the way. You saw me gluing up these T pieces earlier. It's just a lap joint, and then I ran some screws in there for some extra security, since this is going to have to hold all of my body weight. Then I braced those pieces with a 2x4 cut at a 45-degree angle, and I screwed those in using some lag bolts or lag screws. I don't know, there's a lot of different types of lags, and I'm not really sure which one I was using. I pre-drilled all of those, and then I also used a Forstner bit so that the head of the bolt would go down into the wood so it wasn't exposed. I highly recommend pre-drilling. When you're building something that's supposed to hold your body weight, the last thing you want is for your wood to split and break and leave you lying on the floor in agony. I tried attaching these angled pieces a number of ways, screwing them in, gluing them in first. I don't know. None of them seemed to work real well, but it worked out okay in the end. If you found this content valuable, or at least entertaining, don't forget to pound that like button. I thought I'd try gluing this one before screwing it together. When it comes to assembly on this one, just go with your gut. My drill bit wasn't quite long enough for all of my lag bolts, so I had to get a little bit creative with my pre-drilling. I would also recommend thinking about how you're going to attach this apparatus to the wall or ceiling, because some of the places where I wanted to attach it were hard to reach after I had everything assembled. That socket did not want to stay on my bit for some reason, which was quite annoying. Now I am just marking the location where I'm going to run the bar part of my pull-up bar through. X marks the spot. I also recessed that hole slightly because the bracket I was using to mount it needed to be recessed. And then using a spade bit, I drilled the hole the rest of the way through. That will be the hole that my pull-up bar will go through. These flanges will keep my pull-up bar from spinning in place while I'm really getting after it. However, if you've got the big bucks, I would recommend using a galvanized pipe for your bar portion of your pull-up bar. It's a lot less messy. Before anybody blows me up in the comments for mounting directly to my trusses, I did check with a friend of mine who happens to be a building inspector, and he assured me that this would work just fine. That said, I did double and triple check to make sure that I was drilling directly into the center of the truss so as not to shoot out the side of it or anything like that. And again, I pre-drilled everything because you definitely don't want your trusses to be splitting out on you. One down and one to go, and then we get to find out if I can actually do a pull-up. I, for one, am quite curious to know. Yeah, that socket was a source of never-ending annoyance for me, but it got the job done. I put those flanges on either side of where my pull-up bar would go in so that I could twist the pipe into it. Now, you could probably twist the pipe right into the wood and it would work out okay, but I think over the long term, you're eventually going to end up with a spinning pull-up bar, and I wanted something a little more solid, so that's what I went with. As far as you can tell, I can do a pull-up, and everything stayed attached to the ceiling. That's a win. Oop, didn't quite get that last one. Let's bring in a professional. As always, thanks for watching. I'm sure next time you see me, my lats will be huge. And remember, sweat for it. Don't go into debt for it.